Poo. Shit.
Yep.
Wee. Why do they always rhyme with things when you want to tease someone?
What?
You know when you're like, I don't know about that with Jim Jefferies. When you're a kid and everything rhymed with poo and wee.
No.
You go, I got nothing to do, I might do a poo. You're looking at me, I'm doing a wee. You never do that?
No.
I'm looking at you and you look like poo.
Yeah, you do that, yeah. Poo seems to like just fit into every sentence.
Yeah.
Nothing to do but a big fat poo.
As a songwriter, yeah. It's pretty easy to rhyme poo with a lot of things.
Poo's a banger.
What about shit, though?
I don't give a shit. You don't have no wit. That's my rap.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
You don't got it.
That's really good.
Yeah.
You should write that down.
Don't need to. It's up here.
It's stuck up in there.
In the vault. I was doing. I hadn't gigged for like a month, and like Amos was with me, and he's like, "You've forgotten half your show." I'm like, "What?" He reminded me. I'm like, yeah." I'm like, I should start writing things down. I was like doing all this stuff on Johnny Cash to open up, and I forgot all that, and there was some other stuff about me dad that I've forgotten. And
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know what you should do is, I got your dates coming up here. You're going to be in Sacramento this weekend and Indio, California at Fantasy Springs Casino.
Fantasy Springs Casino, come out and see me. In Sacramento, come and see me as well. But Fantasy Springs, come and see me because I want to do more shows out there because it's close to my house.
I
like being in Palm Springs, man.
What I was going to say is March 8th and 9th you're in Vegas. They can record your shows. You should record when you're in Vegas on 8th and 9th. Have them just do it. At least that you have it.
The last run in Vegas were my favorites, but I took February off because I thought we were going to do work in Australia, and then it never came through. And then I was like, maybe I should fill that calendar. And now I'm like, you know what? Me and the wife are gonna.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law's coming out. Me and the wife are going to go out to Vegas and have sex.
Big plans.
That's not what I thought you were going to say, but okay.
And probably gamble.
So you're going to go to Vegas before Vegas then. Well, maybe you'll be doing some shows.
And my mother-in-law is listening. That's why you've been invited out. Hello.
Well, hold on, though. Hold on. On February 13th, we are doing a live podcast at Flappers.
Oh, it's confirmed?
Yeah.
Okay. You heard it here,
But
folks.
that's my birthday.
No, the 14th is your
I
birthday.
know, but I was born in Australia.
That's a really good point for us.
So, yeah, but then it won't even be the 13th. It'll be the 14th, 15th, 12th. Anyways, come out 8 o'clock at Flappers. It's on the website. Buy tickets. The last live one was really fun, and it was really fun. Everybody that came out was great and stuff. So that's in February 13th, a little less than a month from now, 8 o'clock at Flappers. Go to their website. It says, I don't know about that podcast. Check that out. And then there's other dates for you on your website too. March 22nd, you'll be in Des Moines, Iowa. March 23rd, Kansas City, and so on. Check it out at JimJefferies.com.
I'm all over the joint. I'm all over the joint. And I have a big announcement coming up for some Canadian people, but I can't say it yet. But if you live in Canada, I have a big announcement.
And then I have shows.
They're all sitting there. What's he up to?
Go to
Bought a hockey team.
Go to foreshaw.net. I have shows coming up in Australia. It'll be the end of April, beginning of May. And the exact days I'll have next podcast.
And we have a big announcement for Australia as well that the Australian public doesn't know. Can
you say that yet or no?
No.
Okay, so we'll maybe do that next episode. A lot of Australia stuff coming.
A lot
of teasing.
There's another thing I do. The 1% Club in Australia. And there's something else in the works.
Yeah.
2024 is the year of making moves.
And not movies.
Anything but movies and TV.
Yeah.
But go to JimJefferies.com, go to foreshaw.net, and listen to, subscribe to us on IDCat Podcast on Instagram, and follow us there.
Well, one of my favorite things is when someone goes, I've written this movie, can I attach you to it? I'm like, yeah, that'll sell it. I can't get into regular movies by myself. Yeah. We've got a bloke that you've never cast.
We know he's pitched you a lot
committed.
of movies. Yeah,
He took all the February off for the movie.
Yeah, if you want to make a movie with me, February's your time, but not the 13th.
Or when you're having sex in Vegas.
And me and the wife, we're gonna get at it. We're gonna go at it.
See Kylie Minogue?
She's not there when we want to go out. The only person who's in town is Adele.
There's other people in town, I'm sure.
No.
that's it.
No. The only big act that I haven't seen, like you got your Copperfields.
What about
and your,
Bruno Mars?
Bruno Mars is not there. The Ed Sheeran is playing the T-Mobile Arena that night that we want to go, that we're thinking of going. But I've got a mixed relationship with Ed Sheeran. Hey, if Ed Sheeran, if you're listening, reach out, fella.
Let me give you a hot tip. Don't go Super Bowl week.
What week's that?
That's the week of the 5th into the 11th.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going there.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Hot tip. All right, cool.
Is the Super Bowl there?
Yeah. It's in Vegas this year. What?
Well, everything's in the way, isn't it? I don't want the Super Bowl in the fucking
Well, that's
way.
on the 11th. So after that, then you go there.
All right.
Go after the 11th. Yeah, after your birthday. They'll be waiting for you to come for your birthday.
What day of the week's the 13th?
Tuesday.
Okay, so I'll go after my birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going to go the days before.
Yeah.
But I'll go after. Well, it depends when my mother-in-law's here. I might have to go the Super Bowl weekend. I might just have to spend the money.
Better book now. This is a conversation we could have off air.
Yeah.
This is how the sausage is made, people.
All right. Now let's welcome our guest, Grant Lyon.
G'day, Grant. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
Look, I'm not a good enough actor. I'm just going to own up to this. I was about to lie, right? But if you've ever seen me act at anything, you know that I'm not good at this. I know what the subject is, but I've only just found out what the subject is, and I haven't done any research or anything like that. It was just that I heard you guys talking about it. So it's board games.
Yeah, you did great.
Thanks.
This one. Yeah.
Thanks. Board games.
You didn't want to
Which I'm very excited. Very excited about board games. I love board games.
Let me introduce Grant then. Grant Lyon is a comedian that has appeared on Comedy Central, the Sci-Fi Network, Comics Unleashed, and Just for Laughs. During the pandemic, he started making videos about the board games he loves, and now he has over 200,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram. Grant also writes funny content for board games, and in 2023, he won a Taggy Award for his creative content for board games. He also has an hour stand-up comedy show all about board games that he takes to conventions across the world. His debut game, Curmudgeon, was published by 25th Century Games. You can find him at Grant's Game Rex on TikTok and Instagram, and at Grant Lyon on YouTube. That's Lyon, his last name. And also his album, Scheduled Fun Time, is out. Listen to that. What is a Taggy?
They literally call it the Oscars of board games. And one of the funniest parts about it is because, I come from the world of comedy and I love board games, but I'm a newer expert in that. And so I didn't really know what a Taggy was either. And all of these other people were like, oh my God, you got nominated? And I was like, what is that? Like my response when they emailed me and said, congratulations, you've been nominated. My actual email back was like, wow, that's so cool. I really appreciate it. I just want to double check that you have the right person. Because I was like, I don't know. And then and I won, and I was like, there's no way.
But why Taggy? What's the your tag name, like computer tag?
No, it's TAGIE, and that's an acronym. It stands for the Toy and Game independent. Toy and game something.
Did you win the Taggy?
I did.
And where do you keep your Taggy, man?
Yeah, I got it on my shelf. I got it on my board game shelf at home.
What does a Taggy look like?
It's huge. It's like super heavy.
I like that you still don't know what it stands for.
I won two awards in a year. I won a comedy award up in Montreal once, and I won a $1 million plaque from Delta. And I have them both sitting next to each other.
Yeah. Well, it was like, I didn't mean to be disrespectful of their award or anything. I wasn't familiar with it. And so when they called, I was talking to people, there's like a whole award show, and people would be like, oh, what's your company? I'd be like, you'd think that I'd have one, right? You would think.
I don't mean to be crass about this, but what's the pussy like at the Taggy?
A lot of married folks.
Oh, yes.
Also, your game Curmudgeon, when you were developing it, I sat in on the testing sessions.
You did a few
at your
of them.
house. Yeah, I did. I think 2 of them.
And it's based on you one at first.
Probably. Yeah. It's really fun, and I actually bought. I think I told you I bought it I got an Airbnb, and I bought a bunch of board games.
Oh, awesome!
And I bought it. I don't know if this is a ringing endorsement or not. Somebody stole it, so I think that means it's good.
I think it's a solid game. Yeah.
But it's a fun game.
I brought a few copies for you guys.
All right.
All day. I play board games all the time. I always buy a couple at Christmas,
Nice.
You know, there's about 3 or 4 a year. I'm
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
getting new board games.
Yeah. All right.
I've got 2 more signed too, so there's
Awesome.
a couple more coming out here.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, really? 2 new more games. Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you allowed to say what they are? You don't want to.
Yeah, I can say what they
If
are.
you don't, we'll say them on a
I
later
just
date.
don't know. Like, I don't have the production schedule. You know, the publisher's
Yeah.
handling that. So one's called Drawkward. It's like drawing and awkward, and it's like comics.
You
will
use
like
your
it.
left hand.
Yeah. No, the way it works is you get an adjective and a noun. We all draw our own thing. Then we pass it. Then a question comes up. So you've drawn an embarrassed cheerleader. You've drawn a mean surfer or whatever.
I don't. I'm not a very good drawer.
Yeah, but that's the fun thing.
That cheerleader, it might be look like an incident.
You don't have to. You don't have to be a good drawer because then a question
Why
comes
is the
up.
cheerleader crying?
Yeah, and so then it's not about the drawing well. It's about the question comes up, and it's like, what was this person's New Year's resolution? And you're just making
wow.
up
Not cheers so
funny.
much.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, you're just
that.
making up
It's
funny
like a meme
answers.
type of thing. With
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about board games. He's going to answer them all. And the end of him answering them, you're going to grade him on his accuracy 0 through 10. 10's the best.
Okay.
Jack's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him on how hungry I am. And you didn't laugh, Jack. See, he
trying
laughed.
not to.
He's laughed at
I'm trying
that
not
every
to la-
time.
I'm
that
trying
I've
not
said
to laugh.
it.
Yeah, but it's funnier when you sit next to him, not when you're facing it. Yeah. When you face it, it's just upsetting.
Kills right here.
Yeah.
And then we'll add all those scores together. If you score 21 through 30, room and board, 11 through 20, drawing board, back to the, and 0 through 10, water board. That's the worst one.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't want that one. Jim. All right. When was the first board game invented? And if you know by whom and where?
Like way before Jesus, right?
Okay.
Right before Christ, like way before. Like I know. I saw a documentary years ago. I know that in ancient Egypt and stuff they had games and stuff. So
Ancient Egypt.
I don't think we know who invented it. To be honest, I think there's okay. So let's say like the really old games. I don't know what comes first, backgammon or chess. Right, and I assume there's games older than them, and they're a couple of thousand years older than Christ.
Okay.
So I'm going to say 2,000 years before.
You know what it was?
Noah.
Noah? Noah in the game? Okay.
Yeah, fucking Noah. Look, man, you're going to be on that fucking boat. You got nothing else to do. You don't think that cunt's inventing a couple of games?
It's all about getting pairs of animals on.
Pairs of animals. It's called the animal fucking game.
Yeah. First board game in Europe. Do you know what that was? Or?
Europe. It wouldn't be Mahjong.
Yeah.
Mahjong does that count? See what? So it's a board game, right? So by definition, does it have to have a board, or can it just be?
We're going to talk about games that don't have boards.
Yeah, because I think it's an indoor.
I think it's kind of like
table,
a tabletop
Because
game.
then we got Twister, right? And Twister ain't a board game.
No,
and
no.
Twister
yeah.
Twister wouldn't be invented today.
playing it on a
You
table
can't
later.
bring in Twister in today. You can't go. It's just for teenagers to cop a feel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Twister. There's never been a group of lads that are like, we should all, maybe some groups, but we should all play Twister.
Yeah.
Oh, the girls haven't even come here yet.
Well,
we'll just play Twister, just a lot of us.
Yeah, they're not coming.
Yeah.
The other game I brought today is Twister, so we can play after that.
I don't think. Look, I'm looking at the
content.
forest. We don't have the body shapes for Twister. We're not a good Twister team.
Yeah.
Pick up a
that's
pencil if
true.
I drop it. I'm not going to play Twister. So, first board game in America. America.
First American-made board game.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
in America. Sure. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say Snakes and Ladders.
All right. What game is considered by many as the transition to the modern board game hobby? So there's a game that brought it to the modern era.
I'd say Monopoly would be your board game, which was a transitional one because you started having cards with questions and this and that, and then like dealings and wheelings, where everything else before was checkers. Checkers is going to be my American one. Checkers.
Not Snakes and Ladders?
Not Snakes and Ladders. I'm moving
I think
it.
it's Shoots and, or is it Snakes and Ladders in Australia?
Snakes and Ladders in Australia.
Okay, I think it's Shoots here.
But I what, you don't have
Checkers.
snakes?
We have snakes, but it was called Shoots and
Yeah.
Ladders.
It was just slides. We made it way more
Why
fun
would
for
you
the
slide
kids.
down a snake?
Yeah, you have a snake.
Yeah, okay.
No, here
we
it's-
don't
You don't
slide
have
down-
snakes?
We don't
Oh,
slide
no,
down.
if you land on the snake's head, then you got to go down the snake, and the
Yeah.
snake will go like this.
Yeah. Here it was slides.
Ours was just slides.
Shoots.
Yeah, shoots.
Shoot, whatever the fuck a shoot is.
It's like a trash
You don't have
chute.
snakes and ladders. Fuck me.
With shoots.
They're so different.
So I'm going to say checkers is the first American thing. I'm going to say Monopoly was the pivotal game that changed over, which
Okay.
I've seen a whole documentary on Monopoly. I'm well versed in Monopoly.
We'll see.
Okay.
The
What, is,
landlord's game, as it was known from Atlanta.
what is a Euro game?
Euro. Euro would be a game from Europe.
It's a type of game. They're called, I guess a category of games called Euro games.
Yeah, you can't use your hands.
Okay. What is that your final answer?
It's all teeth.
Yeah.
It's all teeth.
What is an
It
American?
involves smoking. If it's is it Eastern Euro or Western Euro?
What is an American style board game or an Ameritrash game, as they're known?
An American style board game. Okay, I know. I have young children, which what children are. Is it anything that involves like Kaplonk, right? So you put on anything we're pulling out. So Jenga's a pull out, Kaplonk's a pull out, and now there's the push ins. There's always something like a pirate ship, and you shove a knife into it till eventually the pirate falls out, or you put too many things on a fucking donkey till he falls over.
Yeah.
Those games, fuck me. I've played a
American.
lot of those
So
games.
we're saying Euros no hands, American all hands.
America's all hands, yeah. Forrest gave my son one which was just plunging shit out of a toilet.
The poo. Yeah, the poo shoots up. Why do European games focus on less conflict?
They've had a lot of wars, man.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of wars, and they don't want them in there. No, because Americans have to win, and the rest of the world, we play sports where we can draw.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just like the fun is the whole thing. The winning isn't the main aspect.
Okay. What's the difference between mass market and hobby games?
Your sales.
Sales. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only difference. All those hobby games want to be fucking mass market. Don't worry about it.
What is the largest board game convention in the world? And then what's the largest one in America? I guess there's a name for it. Is that? Yeah.
It would be the Taggy. The Taggy
Just gonna go with
convention.
what you know, the
Yeah.
Taggy convention. All
Yeah,
right.
Taggy.
Wow.
That's the largest one in the world.
Can't believe you knew about that one.
There's the largest one in the world, or the largest one in America.
Yeah, it's the largest one in the world.
What does Taggy stand for? That's not a question.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't be so taggy first.
Who invented Candyland? And anything else you know about Candyland?
Oh, Candyland.
Where was it invented? Who invented it? Kind of.
I've never played Candyland.
Never.
I don't. I know Candy Crush. I've heard of Candy Lane and I Candy
Land.
Don't watch the movie. You seen Candy Cane Lane?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's not the best.
it's a film, isn't it?
It is. They made it.
It was recorded and edited. Yeah.
I'm surprised though that Australia has snakes and ladders, but no Candyland.
We
Because I
might
feel
have
like
Candyland,
here,
but
those are very similar.
Yeah. Those are played at the
games.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never had snakes and ladders. Oh, is Candyland one? Okay, so the guy who invented Candyland also invented the Game of Life. The Game of Life. That's always that's a fun game.
I have a question later on about it.
That game is so random. There's nothing you can do to help yourself or hint. There's a few choices. Do I go to college? Do I go straight into an occupation?
Yeah.
And then it's like you have kids, and that makes you money.
Yeah.
Not
Not in real life.
Not in my experience. Not in my experience. That slows the whole game down.
This is the game of dreams.
Yeah, you have another child, you've come to an early grave.
You're like, fuck.
There's a scary board game called The Game of Real Life that someone
Yeah.
made, and it's like there's nuclear war, and
Really?
you die. Like third space is you die, you get aborted.
There was
Yeah,
the
it's pretty
original.
wild.
I'm trying to remember the.
Wait, here's a question
the-
about life. The original Game of Life featured spaces that were later removed. What were they for?
I know. I've seen this as well.
Okay.
Oh, I see the answers here. That was crazy.
This is the Game of Life used to just be like rows like that, look almost like an advent calendar. And one of the squares was a picture of someone hanging themselves from a tree.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've watched the Toys That Make America. I've watched all this shit, right? There was someone just like you've had a bad day. You topped yourself.
Fun.
Game over.
Yeah.
How did you find that version?
What?
Yeah, there's probably other ones, but that's the only thing that's sticking
Okay.
with me.
All right. What was significant about the game Cranium? At least like when it was first being sold and when it was sold, there's some significance to it. Where it was sold. Put it that way. I'll give you a hint.
A Cranium, where it was sold.
You know Cranium, the game Cranium?
I've seen. I can picture the box. I remember. Is it like Pictionary or something? It's one of those ones you have to think different words. And
I forget. I've played it.
Cranium is like, the idea of it when it first came out was it was like all the different games. There's like a Pictionary component, there's like a trivia component.
Did it have the clay that you would mold?
Yes, there was like clay.
It was sold in arts and crafts stores.
Okay. What was unique about the original version of Monopoly?
That it was in the Atlantic City, and they used to think that was an affluent place to live. That's what you need about. They used to think that there was a guy with a monocle walking around in a top hat, like, I live in Atlantic City.
Okay. Is that your answer?
Yeah. Okay. That there was a multimillionaire living in Atlantic City.
How much Monopoly money is printed each year? Or just that's the question. Do you know, or maybe you can compare it to something?
In currency, I would say $7 billion.
$7 billion. All right.
Worldwide, because they've got so many varieties of the games, and they're all. There's a lot.
I don't quite know the. We'll see. We'll see when I get to the answer. What does the word Jenga mean?
Made up shit. But I know how the Jenga game was built.
It's not a real word.
Chop down a tree.
I don't believe it is.
Okay.
But all the bricks were the same. And they, you couldn't find a loose one because they were all perfect shaped. And the woman who invented the game put them through a washing machine, so they got little deviations that ever so slightly different, and that's what makes Jenga work.
Okay. Why did the Trivia Encyclopedia sue the game Trivial Pursuit?
They probably had questions. Maybe they had things that were incorrect.
Okay. What is the highest selling game of all time? Like, I'm assuming, like, the most sold.
Chess.
Okay. Why did Settlers of Catan change its name to Catan?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, cultural appropriation, because they settled there. They overtook some probably natives or whatever like that, and then they thought it was their land, and we'll all just be as one and call it Catan. But because they didn't discover Catan, they just settled it, man.
Yeah. What is Board Game Geek?
Board Game Geek. That would be a web page about board games.
How many games are listed there?
3,000.
What is the board game industry valued at?
$2 trillion.
$2 trillion. Okay, that's all of our questions. Grant,
what's $1 trillion? I don't know.
0 through 10. 10 being the best. How did Jim do on his knowledge of board games?
I thought I was actually pretty impressed. I would say you got about half of them right. That's pretty good. Does that mean it's like a 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10?
Thanks.
These don't mean anything, but we just
I take this very seriously. I'm a board gamer.
Yes,
scores matter.
True.
They do.
How do you do on confidence?
I think a 6. He had times where he's going, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
so.
I'm pretty hungry.
They were very difficult questions.
Yeah,
I'm pretty hungry, so I'm gonna give you a 10. Room and board. Yeah, and we'll talk. If you have other questions about games, you can ask.
But you nailed some of them.
When was the first board game invented? By whom and where? Jim said way before Jesus. We don't know who invented it. 2000 BC. Noah invented it? Noah did it. No.
But he did say ancient Egypt, and it is. It's ancient Egypt. So I thought his answer was pretty right on with this one, because I don't think nobody knows the exact person or anything like that.
I know that they had games in pyramids and stuff. So
that's how we discovered a lot of them, was like in pyramids and burial sites.
What was that? Well, was there games that we still play today?
Well, no. So the game is called Senate,
right?
And we don't know the rules of it. People have ideas of what it might be and stuff, but the rules have never made it down through history.
Is it one with pegs?
Yes, it's got pegs, and you're moving around a board. So, like, you can actually kind of play this game if you go to, like, a Tutankhamun exhibit. Like, I went to one, they had one, like, an interactive exhibit, traveling exhibit in downtown Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and they had Senate games there, and it was like, how do you want to play this? You can make up your own rules to this, because we don't know the rules.
It's almost like the Mastermind board, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, the Cracker Barrel, they have that triangle with the pegs. You got to take them all off except one by jumping. I can never.
Well, yeah, maybe it's like playing cards, and there's just a bunch of different games you can play with it.
So, but it's like kind of a track that goes on a board, and you're moving. You're trying to get to the end first, maybe something like that.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like the first inkling that we have of it is from like 3,500 BC. But that's like fragments of games that may have been that
1,500 off.
Yeah,
We said ancient Egypt.
No, but the first like actual board we have is from like 2,600 BC.
That's pretty good.
Where we have like, oh, okay, we know that this is the game that we see along the years. And what's pretty crazy about it is that it was played for thousands of years in Egypt. You know, it was like there was proof of it throughout the Egyptian Empire. Same game. Even though we don't know the rules.
And so what's the oldest game that we continue to play?
That's probably something like chess or checkers or backgammon. I don't know which one's older of those, though.
You were saying you think that, board games are the oldest form of indoor entertainment?
I think the oldest form of indoor entertainment. I think since we've... Okay, what happens when you fucking... You're on Survivor or something like that, or anywhere, you build yourself a shelter. Once that shelter's good and you've fucking got a full stomach, what do I do next?
Would you
play some type of game? We're throwing something in a fucking jar.
You're always inventing games.
There's always that's the next invention. That's cavemen. That's the next fucking invention.
Do you think that's earlier than like painting? Because we have cave paintings. Do you think a game in the cave came before painting on the walls?
I think people would have painted and let's see who can do this the fastest. They would have made a game of it.
Yeah,
that doesn't even look like a mastodon.
Some are better than others. This is a woolly mammoth.
Krog won the painting competition.
I did just a painting. I'm going to formally, so I don't back out of it. I'm going to do this live on a podcast. I've decided that I'm going to videotape myself. Record. I need Jack for this.
I will fill Jim.
I'm going to record myself painting a Bob Ross painting at the same speed that he does, with no previous experience. I've bought all the equipment. I've got easels. I've got the right side canvas. I've got Bob Ross paints. I'm ready to go. I've got all the brushes. I'm ready to go. Just like do that mountain and then you put the snow on.
Yeah,
I think it's funny that your son's gotten so into Bob Ross too.
My son got into Bob Ross, and he started going, "Dad, can I watch Bob Ross?"
Do you know there's a Bob Ross board game? There is a Bob Ross board game.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I want that all day.
Yeah, it came out like not even that long ago, maybe 7-8 years ago.
I don't think he gets any money for his name. If you watch the documentary, it gets quite dark.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Really?
Bummer. There's people who rip Bob Ross off. But like I have an edible, and like when you're like 11-year-old comes up to you and you're laying on the couch and you're high, and they go, "Can we watch Bob Ross?"
Yeah,
I love that kid, man.
It's called Happy Little Accidents is the name of the
documentary's upsetting though. I tried watching that with Hank as well. He's like, no.
No, I'm saying the board game. I think there's Happy Little Accidents. Is that it?
No, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, this. Oh, wow.
The well-known one.
Oh, the Art of Chillboard.
Yeah. It's got a big old Bob Ross head on the cover.
Big afro. Awesome. Well, there you go, Jim. There's another one.
He permed it. It wasn't real. If we ever do a Bob Ross episode.
Was it real? It wasn't real?
Yeah,
oh, wow. That iconic look.
We can't do it because you know too much about him.
I might be the expert.
Yeah, Jim's the expert.
We should do it all you can quiz us.
Yeah.
First board game in Europe, you said not Mahjong? Yeah, Mahjong.
Mahjong's from China?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He didn't give an answer, so I just put...
Is Mahjong... so dominoes, right?
Yeah.
Dominoes would be...
Pretty old.
Is that from...
I think
that's American. Is that American dominoes?
I have no clue.
I used to play dominoes all the time as a kid. I can't remember how to fucking play it anymore.
I don't think it is
I can look it
American.
up. Yeah, but do we know what the
dominoes
Europe one
would
is?
be like, it was after the king died and we used his bones.
Yeah. The European one, I couldn't even answer.
Okay.
Like, in the sense that... that's so hard because, like, the Vikings, the Norse people, had their own games. They had dice and
rape and pillage.
Yeah.
That was a big one for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Run this village.
Romans had games.
Yeah, I remember when we were going over this, you said you didn't. I said that's perfectly fine not to know.
Yeah.
But the earliest mention of dominoes is from the Song Dynasty China, found in the text of this thing 1232 to 1298. So it's pretty old. But all right, so what about America then? What was the first board game in America? Was it checkers or snakes and ladders?
No, it's a game, and so we're talking about a game that was published in America that wasn't ever published anywhere outside of America. And I love the story of this game. It's called Traveler's Tour Through the United States. And one of the big things about it is during the 1800s, no games had dice because dice were a sign of gambling. They were sinful. And so nobody would put dice in games. So that's where we came up with like spinners.
So
in games.
the rule was flip your dick out and push your piece.
And so you would spin this thing, and that would tell you where to go rather than rolling a dice to tell you where
Like
to
the
go.
Game of Life spinner.
Yeah, exactly. Like this was the first game that had something like
They're
that.
always slightly weighted though, aren't they? They never spin quite right, you know.
And then the object of the game was just how many you got on this. You would move that far on a map, and then they were just cities on the map, and you had to guess which city you were in. This was so long ago that people were like, I have no idea. I've been 10 miles from my house. And I have to guess.
I tell you what, that game overseas would do very well.
Yeah.
Like you sell that game in Australia, they'd be like, I don't know, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they're like, wrong, Denver.
Yeah.
Moving on. Like, how'd you win?
You just got the most points. If you got the most cities, if you went along the path and guessed the most cities correctly, you would win. And also, this was at a time where the United States ended at Missouri and Louisiana and stuff like that.
St.
too.
Louis, yeah. That was the
Mississippi River.
The archway to the west.
Yeah.
Wait, what was
the
it called
gateway
again?
to the west.
What was the game called again?
Traveler's Tour Through the United States.
Catchy.
That's one.
But it came out in 1822. It was the first game published by an American company in America.
What game is considered by many as a transition to the modern board game hobby? Jim said Monopoly.
So I would give you like a half point for this because this is somewhat subjective. But like there was a long time in America's history where there are only a few games published, right? Monopoly and the Game of Life and things like
Plantation owner.
Yeah,
was a big one.
yeah. But the hobby has really exploded in the last 30 years, and the game that has sort of started this modern explosion was Catan. That was the game that sort of popularized modern board games because it was the game also that like there was less luck and more strategy in it. A lot of the classic games that you know from your childhood, it's a lot of luck in there.
Right.
It's just, well, see what spot you land on and hope it works out for you. Whereas Catan was like the first game that you were like making a bunch of decisions and then it got popular. Like there were games that were from the 70s and 80s that had a little bit more strategy, but maybe they didn't get as popuar as Catan did.
I play the rocket ship Catan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of different versions.
Yeah, I play the one with the rocket
I've never
ship.
played it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
It's great.
We could have a Catan night. You know what I want? You know what I want to do for my birthday this year?
Huh.
Murder mystery dinner night.
Oh, that'd be really fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Do you want to hire people or just get one of those
I've
murder
just got
mysteries
one of the
in a
boxes.
box? Yeah.
Just got one of the
There's
ones in the
great.
boxes.
There's a lot of good ones.
Are you doing that?
I'm
Coming up.
I just pushed the first domino right there.
Okay,
didn't I?
all right. Yeah.
You said it publicly.
Look, that and Bob Ross. These have to happen.
I'm doing Bob Ross things. I'm having murder mystery nights.
Catan, yeah. How many people do you need to play that?
I mean, you can play it with only two. I would
Two.
say it's better with more than that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, ideally you'd have 4 people or something like that.
Right.
But it came out in 1995, so you know, it's pretty. It's a while ago now.
I started playing it with a couple of people who were actors, right? And when they got the cards, they were like, "You've just been boarded by another thing," and they do all the pirate voices and all that. I'm not good at that. The actors,
they act it
yeah,
out.
I wasn't good at it. I was just like, "Go, you're gonna win. You're gonna take a card."
Yeah.
Why don't you do it?
I don't like
You
doing
do
the voice.
act outs in
What do you mean?
comedy.
You
I
do-
know, I know.
You
so
think,
good at
you think I'd
voices.
be good at this, but I bottled it a bit. I didn't.
You're like, no, this is our time to be serious. We're playing this game. I'm trying to win.
Every time I did a character, it just turned into Reese Darby because he's a character, man.
Yeah, that's true.
What is a Euro game? You said a game from Europe and you can't use your hands and involves smoking.
I mean, it is a game from Europe. That is true.
God, he's
but,
good.
But when you talk about like in sort of the modern board game hobby world, the two main sort of categories are Euro game or American game. And European games are games that really have almost no luck involved in all. It's all strategy, all ways to sort of game out the system and think about what you're doing, and very little conflict. I'm never really attacking you or doing anything like that. There might be indirect conflict, like, oh, you went to a space I was planning to go to, but you didn't know that. You know, you just happen to go to that space. So it's a game without direct conflict, with a lot of pre-planning strategy.
I like game shows, right? I've just been binge watching Survivor seasons, like watching like one season a day because of all the old ones. When does something cross over from being, so I said a murder mystery dinner or something like that, when does something cross over from being not a board game to something else?
Well, so that's why, I use the word sort of board game synonymously, but some people that take it more seriously than I do might say tabletop games, right? Because that includes card games and dice games and all that sort of stuff. To me, I'm like, yeah, I mean all of that when I'm saying board games. But then when you're getting beyond like anything at a table, there's specific terms for that sort of stuff too. Like a game where people would be up playing roles, that would be a role-playing game. Or it could be a social deduction game where you are having to deduct what roles people are playing. So all of that sort of fits under the tabletop game sort of theme, even though maybe they're not all actually specifically played at a tabletop,
Yeah. That's what I would think of it too.
So
that's what I was like,
I think it's just indoor games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then you could start going, I play a board game. What's your best board game? Cricket.
Yeah.
I'm just really good at cricket.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. An indoor game. Yeah.
Did you have Mousetrap in Australia?
Yes, we have Mousetrap.
Did you call it something else though?
No, you put a bit of cheese in there, you catch a mouse, you put them under your doors and stuff.
That's not what I was talking about.
No, the Mousetrap always looked like it was going to be fun, but you set it up for fucking hours.
It never works.
It never works. There we go.
You just
the most infuriating thing ever.
And then there you go. That guy jumps into the bathtub, and you're like, what the fuck?
I've never actually played the game.
Yeah.
I've just built the contraption.
That was something
and tried
like
getting
a
it to
parent
work. Yeah.
gave to a kid to give them hours of like building that they didn't have to pay attention to their kids.
I have shaky hands. I've always had shaky hands. I think it was all the Ritalin as a child, but my son's got operation.
Yeah.
I don't want to play operation with you, man.
I hate that game.
It's not a good game for me.
It's too nerve-wracking.
You're telling your kids like, hey, look, if you need an operation in a remote area, you're out of luck, man.
That seems
I gotta
like
let
an
you
old
down.
game,
Yeah.
Operation.
It is.
Yeah, it was probably invented way back, but I don't know. I guess it's
Yeah, but it was
electric.
one of the first electric ones with a battery that made a and the nose lit up. And I believe it was. I
don't know what
I'm gonna
they-
say Parker Brothers. Was that one? Was that?
Yeah, Milton Bradley.
I think it's Milton Bradley.
Yeah.
That's another one where I don't know what the game is. I would just open it and be like, turn it on and like try and get him out, and then like, all right, we're dead.
I mean,
like,
that
was
is pretty
it.
much the game.
It's
That
just
is
whoever
pretty
got the
much
most
it.
shit out wins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. You're just like, yeah, it takes a pretty steady hand.
Yeah.
And then American style board games are Ameritrash games. Jim said anything that you have to pull things out like Jenga or Kerplunk, all hands.
Yeah. Well, so if European games are games that don't have a lot of conflict, American games are games that are all about conflict.
Forrest and me
So-
got into a fight over Monopoly once.
Yep, I believe it. I
Yeah.
think that's led to a lot of table flipping.
I've seen my brother fucking flip a table.
Yep.
Fucking, I fuck you all and flip
believe
a table.
it.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Rage quitting.
Forrest got angry at me because I got knocked out and he was about to win, and then I just wandered off and I was tired. I was looking in the fridge, and all I hear is like this: Jim's fucking quit. When it doesn't involve him, he's not fucking interested.
I haven't won in a while.
He was right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Thanksgiving too.
It was Thanksgiving.
It's like a holiday.
Yeah. But like, so European games also, there's never any player elimination. So everybody is in the game until the end of the game. So it's a lot about scoring at the end of the game. So we don't know who's won until the end of the game, and we tabulate the scores. Whereas American games, get out of here. You're eliminated. You're done. Player elimination has always been like a big thing in America.
I got approached in Australia by a game company to have a board game about me, right? And they were just like, we just make them, and you get a portion of them, and they just make them as they're sold, right?
Yeah.
They just put them together, so there's no cost for me or anything like that. And I thought about it. I was just like, I don't know. It was literally like,
What were the rules?
There'll be like an up Gunter up square.
Oh, yeah.
Get yourself a cunt card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all these cliche things about me, right?
niche, though,
yeah.
yeah.
You've gotten sunburnt. Go move to England.
Wait, that actually sounds pretty good.
Why? Oh, this is so. Why do Europeans focus less on conflict? You answered that already, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It was straight.
Oh, yeah.
It was after like World War II.
Oh, it was
which
that?
was
Okay, yeah.
it was like the Euro games come out of Germany. That was like now a lot of people make Euro
Monopoly
games.
was made in the 30s. I can't tell you which bit of the 30s, but I know it was made in the 30s, and so we were already at war.
That was just after the Great Depression.
Yeah, but when we're talking about European games, though, a lot of them were developed sort of in Germany.
So okay, what good Nazi games were there?
No, but I mean, like that
I know, but look, dude, I don't want to get into it, but their experiments on twins, we figured out some shit.
Yeah.
No, please, I'm joking. But what do they have any games like?
Well, I don't know if they have any games from like pre-World War II that are still popular, but the post-World War II
one where you
ones,
like hid things behind a barrier called What Sticker?
I'm sure, yeah.
You don't like What Sticker?
I don't even know what that means.
Jack doesn't even know what it means.
I got it now. Now I hear it.
Battleship would have been one.
Yeah.
But that was an American game, not a European game.
You think that would have been
Right?
the Japanese who made
Yeah.
Battleship?
Battleship, yeah. That was they played that in that Squid Game.
Played in Squid Games. It's a good one, Battleship. It's a good game.
I don't mind.
I always hide around the borders. I never go in the middle.
Well,
I don't know how some of you guys with kids though play games with your kids. I was at like a cafe recently where somebody was playing Battleship with their 7-year-old kid. And I was sitting next to him and just getting so angry the whole time. Just the kids just cheating over and over. And the dad was so patient.
Kept moving.
Yeah, he was looking over and seeing what his dad had and then guessing that. And I was just like, bro, like
you got to let him do that.
I couldn't handle it.
My son's just gotten better at video games than me, and it was like any game I was wiping the floor with him. Like, come on, we'll play it like this, and then I'd let him win. And now I'm like practicing while I'm practicing while he's at school.
Yeah.
And he comes in and I'm like, hey, come on, we're going to play a video game. I got homework, come on.
I'm going to beat you today.
I've been practicing.
We used to play Battleship with walkie-talkies. We'd be in different rooms, so it felt like we were like calling in airstrikes.
That
was really fun.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's really good.
That is fun. The Hackett house. I grew up in such a small house, Jack, that you could hear each other through the walls. Must have been nice to be a rich kid. So we'd go to different wings for a laugh. We'd go to different wings for a laugh.
What's the difference between mass market and hobby games? Jim said sales.
I mean, that is definitely one of the things. I would say the other thing is like mass market games focus on really easy to learn rule sets, really sort of available for any ages to play, whereas the hobby market is a lot more strategic, a lot more sort of niche themes and things like that.
I like how there was a bit in the 80s where they would just bring up board games. I don't know what it was, but like, you know, like on Friends, they played the Happy Days game. I have a vivid memory of a Family Ties box.
Family Ties.
Yeah?
Yeah, like check if that's a thing.
I mean, I believe it.
I can't remember the game. I have a memory, and it would have been those, you know, those playing pieces that are a cardboard cutout and a little bit of plastic.
Yeah.
And you know those ones.
But I think like the mass market focuses a lot more on known IPs. If anything's popular, there's probably a game version of it.
I have Seinfeld Clue.
That's what I mean. Like there's gonna be that sort of stuff.
All right, so
there's a Family Ties one.
We call it Cluedo.
White
Yeah, that's
dough.
right.
White dough. Why had the dough on it?
I think we're the original Cluedo. I think you're the second one. I think it's from Europe.
I mean,
I'm not
the
sure.
game Clue?
We call it Cluedo.
What the hell's Cluedo mean?
It's Clue.
Yeah.
But why dough?
But Clue's a word.
Yeah.
What's Cluedo?
But make it sound like a game.
Cluedo?
There's still like Professor Plum. What did the Family Ties game? Give me a look at that.
You are one of the Keatons trying to surprise the rest of the family by having a family portrait taken. To do it, you have to get all the family members together and have $100 in savings to pay the photographer.
Yeah.
Getting
Alex
everyone
is-
together isn't as easy as you think. You know?
Alex is taking too much cocaine so he can film Back to the Future at night.
And this
Go
is,
back 3 spaces.
yeah.
This is, by the way, jumping ahead. This was on a website called Board Game Geek, which was a question we can jump ahead to.
Right, so is that opening sequence where they're all getting their portrait painted and they're painting, so you got to get them all together, and it's like, oh, Mallory's off at the shops, can't get her.
I'm saying it's on here. What's that? Oh, there you go.
Hey.
There we go, Skippy. Now let's okay.
He's a stand-up comic.
Yeah,
Did
he's
you
a
ever
stand-up
play
comic.
this? Did
What
you
the-
actually play
Yeah,
this?
I remember having
Yeah.
this in the house. So what happened? As I said, they're plastic pieces,
Yeah.
and they just put the things in.
Yep.
What happened to Skippy? Anyone? He's a stand-up comic. Is he still doing like coconuts or something? Like, tell me, Skippy still gets work.
I think he does okay, but I don't know. I had a friend, and we met her on top of the. We were at a party that you're friends with, and she was with Tia Carrera. Do you remember years ago?
Yes.
She came up, her name is Julie McCullough, and she does stand up too.
She
And
was.
there's a guy that
she
represents.
dated Kurt Cameron on Growing
Yeah,
Pains.
yeah.
And then she was in
As an
Playboy.
actor, yeah,
And then she was
yeah.
in Playboy, and they wrote her off
yeah.
the show.
Yeah, but
Really?
she does
Yeah.
stand up now, and there's a guy that represents stand up comedians. I know she was touring with. I don't remember Skippy's real name.
How would we ever
Price.
find
Mark
out?
Price. Mark Price.
Mark Price,
But I
okay.
think he's still doing stand up.
I'm looking up his tour.
I think he's still.
He's still got a great head of hair on him.
He's going to be in Boca Raton at the end of January.
Where-
Oh, he does some cruise ships and stuff like that. Yeah, good on him, man.
Skippy's doing it.
And he fucking looks great for his age.
Wow.
If the photos are
I mean,
accurate.
Side
I look great in my
Splitters,
photos,
Tampa.
too. Side split. Oh,
He's going to be in Burbank in March.
Go see Skippy.
Is it Flappers?
Probably. Just in Burbank.
I'll watch Skippy all day.
So I'm just jumping ahead real quick. Board Game Geek is where I saw that. And Jim said it's a webpage about board games. And
That is true.
how many games are listed there? He said 3,000.
It is about 150,000.
Holy shit.
I thought I was going high.
Yeah.
150,000.
And, and I bet you about 50,000 of them are fucking close to each
Yeah.
other.
Well, and so I should say, though, I should preface it by saying there's like 150,000 entries on there. So if somebody made like a promo pack for a game that's already out, that's probably its own separate entry. So all of that sort of stuff related. So individual board games, it's still got to be,
I like-
25,000 at least.
I like a game that's got a bit of skullduggery.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of bullshitting.
Like
Yeah.
what? Like the
Like
game
bluffing.
Yeah, bluffing and stuff. Yeah.
Poker.
yeah, what was
Love.
that game? Because I used to play when I.
Bang the dice game. Is that the one you're
with the
talking about?
guns?
Yeah.
I
Oh
love
no,
that.
that one's Cash and Guns.
Cash and Guns.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one was fun.
Cash and Guns, you get actual like foam guns, and basically you count to 3, and you're all pointing them at
and you gotta
somebody
guess
else.
who's, and you're bluffing about
Yeah,
who
you don't
are.
know
Yeah.
if they have a bullet in their gun or they have a blank in their
Sounds
gun.
like a fun game.
that sounds good.
It's really fun.
Yeah,
it's
that-
really
'cause
fun.
And I
I used to
imagine.
go over to-
Can you still give me show Cash and Guns up on the screen? I want to get
Yeah.
a look at Cash and Guns.
Because you also played Bang the Dice game at our house too.
yeah, Bang the
and
Dice.
Bang the Dice game is everybody has hidden rolls. You roll dice and then just shoot people, and hopefully,
yeah.
and you're trying to figure out who's on your team and
Yeah,
who's not.
that one was fun too.
Yeah.
There was.
Forrest and I really love shooting each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was one time I was there. I was playing board games, and then someone had that balloon bong, or the balloon. I think it was.
That looks like a.
It
This
was
looks like a fun
no,
game.
first weed.
Oh, it wasn't a game.
No,
I was trying to think of like a balloon
separate
bong
to the
game.
games, and then I did one of those, and I couldn't even remember
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
I think I threw up on Gwen Stefani's lawn.
Cash and Gwen Stefani's lawn.
Orlando was driving me home. I said, "Pull over," and then I threw up, and I was like, and I just knew that it was her house because I lived there. This is Gwen Stefani. Anyways, she moved.
Oh.
There you go. There's cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, after you fucking stalked her, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's foam guns, and then one of them has a bullet. How do you know which one has a bullet?
So
because you put them in the little
You
chambers.
start with 8 cards, and the game goes 8 rounds, and you have 3 bullets and 5 clicks, essentially blanks. And so at the start of the round, everybody chooses one of their cards to play, and then you count to 3, and then whoever, you can look at whose gun's pointing at you, and you can choose to duck, or you can choose to like stay in and roll the dice, and then if you stay in and you're not shot, you get to like divvy up the loot, and whoever has the most money by the end of the game wins.
Oh, I want to play
awesome.
cash and
Yeah,
cash and
it's
guns.
super fun.
How many board games do you own?
Probably about 750 right now, 750.
Where do you keep
Really?
them all?
I have a studio.
Okay.
So that
helps.
Yeah, it got to the point where like I had shelves in the dining room and the living room and my bedroom.
I thought it was really sad. I thought you were like, I got a studio, like a studio apartment. No. And he's got his 750 board games. And
I
was
sleep
like,
on a bed of
I was
board
like,
games.
I got a studio, so I'm doing pretty good. Between my board games and my Taggy Award, there's not a lot of room in there.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, getting an actual like studio to store stuff and film stuff made my life so much better. Because for a long time, I was just filming in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got nowhere to sleep.
I remember that because on TikTok or Instagram, and then all of a sudden it changed. Like
Yeah.
it was like,
And you were like, oh, this
Your
looks
followers
nicer
were-
now.
Yeah, that's great. What is the largest board game convention in the world? What is the largest in America? Jim said the Taggy is the largest in the world.
Sadly not. Essen Spiel in Germany happens every October, and it gets about 200,000 people there for a board game convention. And then the largest one in America is called Gen Con. It happens in Indianapolis every August, and that's about 80,000 people.
And you said you perform at the?
I do. I do like my board game stand-up hour at some of these different conventions and stuff.
Yeah.
What's your top 5 board games?
Of all time?
Yeah, just your picks. Not like the world's picks.
Boy, it's so hard. Codenames is a game I
Codenames
love.
rocks.
What's Codenames?
You love it.
Yeah, Codenames is like there's a words out, and your teammate has to give you clues associating words together. I have like a grid that's telling me which ones are our words, but they're not inherently connected. I have to think of a clever clue to connect these words that aren't necessarily connected, and you have to figure out my logic and what I'm doing. So it's great. And it's the game that sort of got me back into modern board games. You know, I was into like games when I was growing up, but then I got into other stuff, and I didn't sort of come back in until it was actually Shane Moss.
Yeah, Shane Moss,
started
yeah.
hosting like game nights for comics
That's what
in
I
LA.
remember, yeah.
And
I've never been invited.
yeah, I have game nights at my house. I got a studio.
Do I know Shane Moss?
I don't know if you know Shane Moss.
That's probably why I haven't been invited.
Pretty good reason.
but it's Culver City, right?
Yeah, well now we're in West Adams now, but
I
we
would
haven't
never
met our
make
house.
sense.
yet.
We're gonna
you,
Culver
ever,
City.
you ever want to invite me, man? I'm down.
Dude, I would love to.
Yeah.
I love board
We
games.
do them all the time.
We'll do it. Yeah. So the top 5.
So code names, right there. I'll tell you one of the funnest games, just in terms of because I'm terrible at drawing. Telestrations. I've had
Yes.
some of the like biggest inside jokes from playing Telestrations. It's like the old kid game Telephone where you whisper something in the ear and it goes around.
In Australia,
but
we
you're-
call that Chinese whispers.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
The rest of the world calls it Chinese whispers.
Yeah, we call it
only
telephone.
You only call it telephone.
We
This
PC'd
is
it up.
one of the few times we're not the racist one.
Finally!
Is it racist though?
I don't know. It feels like
It
it's
feels
not
definitely
good.
wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's wrong or not, but it just feels like
Because it's more Japanese, isn't it? Should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
and the hole's being dug for
But I played Telestrations with a bunch of my animation
it's
friends.
super fun.
And they're so good at drawing. So any stupid phrase you give them, they
so
can
it's
draw
like telephone,
perfectly.
but with drawings.
Yeah, but so like I have a word, I draw it, I pass it to you. You have to guess what I drew. You pass it. You have to draw what you guessed. You pass it. He has to guess what he drew, and we just go around the table and see.
Because draw right, draw right,
draw
draw
right.
right, draw
Every
right.
other person, and it's
All
super
right.
fun.
It's really fun.
and it's just like it's almost like not about the scoring. It's about flipping them up and being like.
And then reading
Bro,
the progress
like,
later. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the most memorable one, I remember it was Superman, and by the time it got back around, it was concentration camp.
Yeah.
That was a real thing because the S on the chest, and someone thought it was like an SS officer because somebody was bad at drawing, and then as it went around the table, somehow it became an SS officer in a concentration camp. It was, yeah.
Now I'm thinking of Schindler's List with the Superman theme song, and it's a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Way
It
different.
adds a different vibe.
Yeah.
do you want to do the other 3? You said 2.
Oh.
Top 5. Do you want those?
Boy,
I
it's
want
so
top
hard.
5. Yeah.
It's so hard to pick. I mean, I've got so many
This guy's an
hundreds of
expert.
games.
I'll buy these games.
If I want like something in the more strategic world, I love Champions of Midgard. Is one of my all-time favorite like strategy games. You are going out onto places, building up your like Viking army and clan, and then fighting monsters. And one of the fun things is you're building up your dice pool, and you can like go fight one with all of your dice and be like, I'm definitely going to win that one. Or you can be like, yo, I'm going to try to fight all 3 of these, and I'm going to split my dice into different ways and hope that the roll goes well. And so I love that, like, you're really building up your resources and your strategy, but
So-
then there's just this exciting, like, haha, let's see if I can hit
a
these
little bit
dudes.
like Risk, is it?
A little bit, but we're not fighting each other.
right,
We're fighting the monsters that are on the board and trying to do it the best and get the most points.
Risk is a game that I play on my phone, but I'm not a big fan of playing it in real life because in real life, fuck, it's a big setup.
Yeah, and then the phone is so quick. Everything like it takes care of all moving all the the armies, and that's.
I'll tell you, my favorite game to play with comics these days is a game called Green Team Wins. And Green Team Wins, you have to answer something, and you only get points if you're in the majority. And so there is so much shit talking and stuff afterwards, because it'll be like Jennifer Blank. Are you going to write Jennifer Aniston? You're going to write Jennifer Lopez? You're going to write Jennifer Garner? You're going to write Jennifer Lawrence?
Nice lady.
You know?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Like there's a bunch of things you can
don't
do.
have to fancy. It's just the one that you might have a chat with.
Yeah.
I like J-Law.
But like, okay, what about this one? Like, if this is a multiple choice one, what's the fruit with the most annoying seeds? Is it lemon, watermelon, or grapes?
I'd say strawberries.
I was going to say raspberries.
The card gives you those three options.
Okay, grapes. That's why we got rid of them.
Yeah,
grapes.
Grapes are the worst.
I agree. And I will die on this hill all the time, because every time I've played this game, watermelon wins it. And I'm like, you expect there to be seeds
and they're bigger.
in watermelon.
They're bigger. The grapes
Nobody expects there to be great seeds in grapes. It's so annoying.
Yeah. I was happy when they got rid of watermelon seeds, though. That was...
Sure.
Yeah.
Remember your first seedless watermelon? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was in like the
Nice.
90s. And Dad brought one back, and we were like, it can't be any good. This genetic engineering. Fuck, it was good, man.
But so Green Team Wins is just about like getting the majority, but then talking trash about your dumb answer and stuff like that. So it's great with comics.
One more.
And one more. I got to go back to the strategy world. Man. No, you know what I'm gonna do? If I want to like introduce somebody to board games, I think my favorite game to like get somebody into like a light strategy game is a game called Super Mega Lucky Box. It is essentially bingo on steroids. You have cards, and you can cross off things. A number will come up, and you cross off stuff. But it's all about getting combos and bonuses and stuff like that. You're like, ooh, I finished this column, which got me this bonus number, which I cross off over here, and then that finished this thing, which got me that. And so you just feel like you feel epic. You know?
Has there been a somewhat of a renaissance period of games? Like, it feels like people are playing a lot more games now than ever. And we have so much stuff on the internet to do, and so many games on our phone. What do you attribute the surge?
Well, I think a few things. One, if we're taking it back like 25 years, games are better now than they were. There is more strategy. There's more choice. There's more interesting stuff.
I do feel like they've improved, because you used to get a game. Let's say there would have been a game for the A team. Right? Yeah. And it would have just been, you'd be B.O. Baracus, Hannibal, or whatever, and then you go forward, go back a few steps, forward a step.
Which is like, now I'm like, that's so frustrating when you're like, yo, I didn't do anything, and all of a sudden I got to go back to the beginning just because I rolled a dice wrong. Like, I think that's one of the ones. I think board games have diversified a lot. So I truly believe now it's like, yo, if there's any weird thing you're into, there's a board game about that.
Right.
Like, there's every theme. We got board games about knitting. We've got board games about, I think also
they started like... Okay, so I remember I was in the 80s or the 90s or something when Pictionary, and there was like adults were playing board games. All of a sudden adults were playing board games.
For sure.
And then... Now in the 2000s, Cards Against Humanity, right? And now it's like not only adults doing it, but it's dirty jokes.
It's for adults. I think there's a few. I think the more and more we get dependent on our phones and technology, the more people are looking for a reason
events,
to set it aside. I want one night where I can set that stuff aside and just have like an in-person fun without the technology. Do
you find, like I do, that women lose interest in the games very quickly? I might get in trouble for saying that, but every time I set up game night at my house, if there's lots of girls, they always stop playing halfway through.
That's funny.
They never finish till the end.
I mean, I think that's more about people than it is about gender.
I think this is just the people I hang out with. But my wife's always like well up for it. Like, oh yeah, game night. And she never lasts more than 15 minutes.
Really? What games are you picking? Are you picking like hard, complicated games?
Okay, so I live with my wife, and we also have a friend. We also have a friend of hers that lives with us a lot of the time, and so there's a lot of a lot of 30-year-old actresses in my house, which is nice.
Yeah.
So when they play the board games, they lose interest very quick. But charades, they'll play for hours.
Interesting.
Yeah, charades.
Charades. Charades is the girls' game.
I do think that a lot of people in general that haven't played a lot of games have very little capacity for learning new rules.
That's one of the things. So
charades, they know what charades is.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
I have to have a very simple rule base that we can all get on board with very quickly.
So that's like a big thing for me in terms of I have so many different types of games because I want games for people that love games. I want games for people who've never played a game. I try to pick the right stuff for the right group of people. Because I honestly don't, like nobody, whenever I hear somebody go like, oh, I don't like games, I'm like, no, what happened to you? You know, like what went wrong? Nobody doesn't like games. You just had a bad experience and you think that's all games.
Oh, that's my favorite night. Have an edible and play a board game. That's my favorite night.
That's great.
That's and it's good, clean fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is good, clean fun.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Doesn't bloody hurt anyone.
Who invented Candyland?
What is Candyland? I need to see it. I don't know.
I feel like we've played it. And then you said this game is shit right when we finished.
I mean, it's meant for kids. This is one that doesn't have a lot of strategy.
I don't remember ever playing a game with you, Jack.
I've played Monopoly at your house.
Besides Monopoly.
I think we got Candyland because I just got to see what this fucking thing is. And then we got it and you're like, this is terrible.
Someone show me a picture of Candyland so we can see. And then also I'd like to see a picture of the A-Team board game. Oh, good. A-Team board game.
You got both of them?
From the people who bought your family tires. Everything's back, forward, 3 forward. You have explosions. Mr. T's.
Yeah, it looks super basic.
Mr. T's your mate. No, but they're in the LA underground, right?
But like to be fair, that was a lot of board games in like the 80s. It was just the
Spiral it in.
That in the board game industry.
This is the German version.
In the board game industry, these are called roll and move games. Roll and move your thing, and there's not much more to it
Candyland.
than that. Yep.
Who invented Candyland?
What's Candyland?
Right here.
Oh, there.
Yeah. Okay, Candyland's just moving around, right? What's it like?
And you just lift up a card and it says red, so you go to the red square next, and then you pick
go.
a different card. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And you're just trying to get to the top first.
Yeah. That's where they got.
It's meant for kids.
Candy Crush is derivative of this, yeah. Looks like it anyway.
I mean, it's bright like that.
Do you know this one? Because
it's also got a little. It's also got a little king and all that type of stuff. It's got the. Anyway, so who invented it?
I think her name was Eleanor Abbott.
Yeah, Eleanor Abbott. Yeah.
So
why the fuck would I know that? I thought you were going to go.
No, but I
thought you were going to go. Fucking.
The interesting thing.
Some other things.
The interesting thing about that, you don't need to remember somebody's name.
Alex Trebek.
The interesting thing, she was in the hospital and she came up with this idea and play tested it with the kids that were at the hospital while she was. What was she was in for polio?
Yeah. She was in the same ward with the kids that were in there with the same ward.
Yeah.
My mother had polio.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've always said that makes me sound really old.
Your mother loves candy.
I can't. When I meet young people and I tell them that, I go, my mother had polio. It makes me sound 100.
You do sound
that
old.
does sound very old.
Also, there was
like we cured that a while ago, didn't we?
Yeah, no, my mother had polio. My mother, to the bitter end, would talk about her polio on the constant. Didn't walk for a year and a half.
But she recovered pretty well.
Not mentally. She was always a bit. She had post polio syndrome her whole life, where she still had sort of sore bones and stuff like that. But she blamed that on her fatness. She blamed the polio. But her sister was also the same size, and she never had polio. So,
wow.
One other thing about Candyland, it was
if Annie Susan's
the
listening.
domain. Did you know this thing? It was the first. It says one of the first domain disputes on the internet. Candyland.com was a porn site. And so
years later, though.
Originally.
Because Candyland came out in 1948.
Yeah, sure. And then so Hasbro ended up winning that, and they got Candyland.
So it was a lady with polio.
Yeah.
If you're into that,
did it in the hospital.
That's your kind of kink. Yeah.
Feels like it should have been a woman with diabetes invented it.
Yeah.
What was significant about the game Cranium, as far as where it was sold? You said arts and crafts stores.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not that far off.
Yeah.
It was sold in Starbucks.
Yeah.
It was like Starbucks. I think Cranium's. Oh, they just celebrated their 25th anniversary, so it was 98. Cranium came out, so it was like when Starbucks was decently new, and Starbucks was like, "Hey, let's try something that's not a coffee book.
Yeah, it was
you
our
know,
first
or
non-coffee
something
Sometimes I
like
used to
that.
sell like a CD.
Yeah. Yep.
It says
Yeah.
it says it was
Starbucks.
the first non-coffee product to be sold
Yeah.
in Starbucks. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. The original Game of Life featured.
What, before cake?
Well, I mean, non-food. Maybe. I don't know.
Before those cake pops, they had craniums.
Yeah, they
that's
stole
right.
a board game before they got the food.
The original Game of Life featured spaces that were later removed. What were they for? You said there was a guy hanging from a tree.
Yeah,
in
get
one
this
of them.
picture up. It's fucking dark.
Well, and I was also impressed. You knew that like the original board was more like a checkers board and
Yeah.
stuff than it was.
Yeah.
Like
It was
a track.
boom,
Yep.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
You
definitely
snake-
had
you snake your way down.
They definitely had that, and
Get
Well-
the picture of the game of life guy. Suicide picture.
And do you know partly why that was? I thought this
it
is
is.
interesting about sort of why it was, because the original goal of the Game of Life is not what we think of right now. So the game came out originally in 1860, and then it was sort of out of print for a long time, and then they brought it back in 1960 as the games
okay.
we sort of know now.
I've never understood why they were so into having mountains on it.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
what
either.
did it add to
You're
it?
just moving.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it gave a bit of a 3D thing.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
a mountain and the spinner and the thing, and you have the kids.
or suicide.
But so the
Yeah, now
crazy.
you have the little pink kids and the little blue kids. And I assume now you could change them halfway through the game. Political. There it is. Yeah, look
Yeah.
at suicide.
Yep.
Look how fucking dark it was.
Yeah.
I like just the hands pointing.
Yeah, but also okay,
Temperance, intemperance,
okay,
the
but
crime of the
look at the picture of suicide. Look at him hanging from the tree, right?
Yeah, terrible.
Okay, as a detective, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Where's his
get that.
chair? Where's his ladder?
Yeah.
Some other cunt did that to him. He's been framed.
Oh.
Prison. There's 2 prisons.
The
ruin. I like just ruin.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So I'm a Monopoly purist.
Yeah.
And I play it as it is played online or whatever. I play the rules. If you land on a property, you don't want to buy it, it goes up for fucking auction. You can get rent while you're in prison,
Yep.
and people will fight you to the fucking death
and if
on
you
this.
play the actual rules, it makes it a much faster
if
game.
you play the
So much
real,
faster.
if you play the
Yes.
real rules, you get it done in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right? If-
Don't bail anybody out when they're going.
Get rid of free parking.
Yeah.
People can sit in prison and fucking get their rent because you can do that in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was unique about the original version of Monopoly? And you said it was in Atlantic City. They thought it was an affluent place to live.
So you were talking about
The landlord's game.
Yeah.
It
You
was-
mentioned
but the
it.
original Monopoly was ripped off. There was someone who had a game, and then
Yeah.
someone sued. It was called the landlord's game, and it was invented by, I believe,
her name was
a
Lizzie
woman,
Maggie.
yeah. A woman invented
Yeah.
it, and then Parker Brothers. That was their big game that they went and took around.
Yeah, they did rip it off. But
Yeah.
she wanted it to be like a lesson. And so the original version of Monopoly had 2 rule books. There were 2 versions of the game, of the landlord's game, of not Monopoly, but the landlord's game. She came up with the idea in 1903, and she was like a progressive person, and so she wanted this to be a lesson on capitalism. So there were 2 versions of the landlord's game. There was the version we know now where you were trying to like get money and crush people, but the version she wanted to be popular was the version where everybody gains wealth together, and it's a lesson on like, if we work together, we can all succeed.
She wanted to play the communist game.
Nobody wanted that in America.
Do you know there's a stand-up comedy board game?
No.
Okay, at the Comedy Store in London has this in the dressing room, and occasionally when you're sitting to wait, you open the box. It's got Lenny Henry on the cover. Lenny Henry is a British comic who was popular in the early 90s, late 80s. And it literally is, you just did well, you get to do 5 minutes at the Comedy Store. You just did well, you get to...
Lenny Henry's stand-up
nice.
comic game.
That's the one. That's the one.
Did he create it, or did they just brand it with him?
I think he got the deal. I don't know.
Is
if he
this
grabbed-
different from the Yuck Yucks comedy board game?
Yuck Yucks comedy board game would be a Canadian board game from the
Yeah.
Yuck
Has
Yucks
a
Comedy Club chain.
3.0 rating on board games.
Yeah.
But the
It's
Lenny,
not great.
the Lenny Henry one, man, it has lots of cards, and there's bits where you have to tell a joke to.
Really?
You came up. I looked up stand-up comedy board game.
Oh, there we go.
That's cool.
Ah.
Yeah, but what's the Yuck Yucks game? I've never heard anything good about Yuck Yucks. Yuck Yucks has always been
It's on eBay for 62 Canadian dollars.
I don't know about
It's from 1990 and says rare.
Oh, that was really rare. That was pick up a Mike Myers card.
Monopoly Money, I asked how much was printed each year. You said $7 billion. It was kind of like a question. I should have worded it different.
I don't know the answer to that one.
They said that Parker Brothers prints more Monopoly money each year than the U.S. government prints money.
Yeah.
That seems, because not that much money per game. But
Have you ever played the one like I've had the credit card one where you just have the cards and then the machine debits your card and credits your card, and it makes the game goes a lot faster, but it's just not as fun. There's something
the money is
something missing about it.
because you're like, give me the money.
Fun to
You're always
handle
like, give
the
me
money.
the money.
Yeah.
What does the word Jenga mean? Made up shit, not a real word? Is that true?
No, that's a Swahili word for, it means to build.
What does Swahili mean?
Swahili is an African language.
Oh,
To build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what have they built in Swahili?
Things that look like Jenga.
I've never been over to Swahili and gone, a lot of fucking high rises here, man.
Well, it started off lower.
Very, very
and then they got
unsteady.
higher over
Yeah,
time.
very unsteady high rise. You don't want to be.
Yeah.
Why did the Trivia Encyclopedia sue the game Trivial Pursuit? Jim said they had a lot of things that were incorrect.
So this is a story I love. That's partly why. But so this guy wrote a trivia encyclopedia. He wrote a book, and he thought other people were maybe stealing the stuff from his book. He was like, I think Trivial Pursuit is taking some of my questions and some of the knowledge that was in here. And so the old TV show Columbo, they never ever mentioned Columbo's first name. It's never ever said. If someone in the show asked him his first name, he would say Lieutenant.
No,
and
I
so
thought it was Winky.
Yeah, as like a thing, he planted in his book what Columbo's first name was, so that then he could track anybody that was doing copyright infringement.
Oh my God.
It didn't appear anywhere except for his book, and so it was Philip Columbo.
Yeah.
And so then Trivial Pursuit did a question about
shit.
Columbo's first name, and he sued him for infringing on his intellectual property. And the best part is he lost.
Yeah, 'cause it's not your information. Yeah.
But that's still a trivia question that people still think Columbo's first name is Philip just because this dude planted it in his book.
Hilarious. How did he lose?
Yeah, well, because they basically
It's trivia,
the
yeah.
Trivial Pursuit, the company basically said you can't copyright facts,
Yeah.
and also we use a lot of source material, and that was just one of the things we used, and so it can't be, and so they lost.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God! It says the Moops.
That's right.
I just think it's so funny that he planted this and was like, "Now let's wait and see."
Trivial Pursuit. There's a game that takes forever to fucking finish.
Yeah.
Although I just looked up Columbo's first name, it says
Frank.
It's Frank. Yeah.
Well, it was never uttered on the
They
show.
say you can if you
though.
zoom in on his ID that he flashes,
Oh,
it says
okay.
Frank.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's hilarious.
For a long time, it was
Yeah.
an urban myth
Before-
about.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Highest selling game of all time, is it chess? Or the most,
No,
the most-
this one's not a board game. It's now Uno.
Uno.
Uno is the highest selling game, both in units sold and in money. They just passed Monopoly for money
I
too.
heard they're
one we
working
just
on an
played?
Uno movie.
We played
right
a
now.
good new one.
It was kind of like Uno, but it was different. It was with your family.
Skip or something.
It was like numbers that were
Skippo.
colors.
Skippo.
Yeah.
Skippo's all
Skippo
right.
was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Skippo's okay.
Skippo's good.
Yeah, Skippo's all right.
Why did Settlers of Catan change its name to Catan? Gypsy
Yeah, you
Culture
got this
Program.
one perfect.
Yeah.
It was because of colonialism. They wanted to take out any
When
of
did they
that.
change it?
When?
Catan.
Yeah.
They changed it 10 years ago.
Okay, because
I think.
everyone still calls it Settlers of Catan.
Yeah,
so,
because
right?
you're not
That's
10.
just- yeah.
yeah.
The 10-year-olds don't.
Yeah.
Board Game Geek, we talked about. Oh, what is the board game industry valued at? $2 trillion? It's a lot.
No, I wish. But it's still more than a lot of people
Yeah.
think that it is. It's not like video games or anything. But in 2021, they were estimating it's at about $15 billion.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So,
money.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How much is a trillion?
yeah.
More than a billion.
Is it like 10 billion, 100 billion, 1,000 billion, 1,000 billion?
It's
It's 1,000 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well,
Yeah.
it's way off.
Yeah.
This is part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our expert to give us some fact, obscure, interesting, that the audience can use to impress people about this subject. What do you got for us, Grant?
So I think one of the things that shocks people just about the world of board games is how big it is. So how many new games would you say come out every year?
Well, it depends on how much success, because anyone could make a game. So
Because you're asking it in this version of the dinner party.
I'm going to say 200 a year.
Yeah.
So it's about 3,000 to 5,000
New
come
ones.
out per year. New games
So
come
it's
out.
really hard to
per
make one
year.
that sticks.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
very hard to make
What's
one.
the last one in the last 10 years that's been a real...
So, I mean, Codenames, which I mentioned earlier, has like broken out beyond the world of games. You know, it's like my mom knows what Codename. You know what? Like that's something that you'll hear people talk about.
I didn't know. I'm less hip than your mother.
Wingspan has gotten to that point recently. So Wingspan came out right before the pandemic, and it's just a game about birds. And like, I'll be at a party, and someone will be like, "Oh, you like board games? Have you played Wingspan?" I'm like, "How do you know Wingspan?"
Yeah,
and they've now sold over 2 million copies of Wingspan. So
It is
that
like,
was
what bird is a blah, blah, blah?
it's basically like an engine building game. You're getting birds, adding them to your area, and those birds are going to lay eggs and get you resources and things like that. And you're just having a tableau of birds and trying to like build up an engine to get you more and more stuff, to get you more and more points.
I'll tell you a board game I like, and also I'd like to make a plug, because I've just purchased, and it's on the way to my house, the new Jaws pinball machine, ladies and gentlemen. From the good people at Stern. They gave me a good deal. I like
looks
to
awesome.
Nice.
I like to shout out to the people at Stern. But the Jaws board game,
It's fun.
It's a fun game.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, it's a good game.
The Jaws board game is what we call a one versus many game.
Yeah.
So one player is playing as one role, and everybody else is playing against that
Oh
player.
yeah, I like those kind of games.
Yeah.
I like those kind of games.
So one
yeah.
player plays as the shark, and everybody else is trying to
that's
defeat the
fun.
shark.
I
That's
like that.
cool.
Yeah.
Jaws. Well, Grant, thanks for being here. Check out Grant on TikTok and Instagram at Grant's Game Rex, and then on YouTube at Grant Lyon, Lyon. His album Scheduled Fun Time is out. Check that out, and also get his game Curmudgeon. It's really fun, and you can explain if you want to explain Curmudgeon too.
It's just a game of silly insults, dummy.
Yeah.
It's like Mad Libs for making up insult jokes.
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it's
yeah.
really fun. And your different characters, you get like you pick cards in your characters. It's
I
really
want to
fun.
play Curmudgeon.
Yeah.
Well, I think he said he.
I did. I brought a couple for you guys.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get him on the screen. Let's see,
yeah.
let's so
Bring
we
it
can
on
see,
up.
man.
Like I said, somebody stole mine at the Airbnb, so apparently they liked it, and it was like, I think it's small enough to where it was like
yeah.
stealable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There you go. Hold it up, Curmudgeon. There you go. So check that game out. Published by 25th Century Games, and thanks for being here.
Yeah,
That
dude, this was
awesome.
fun.
Yeah,
I always like talking about board games.
yeah. Jim.
Oh, I love this. Oh, I'm reading about Curmudgeon. Thanks for being on the show, mate.
Yeah.
If you're ever at a party and someone goes, Wingspan's not a board game, go, I don't know about that. Walk away. Good night, Australia.